All right. Welcome. We got Eric here, co-host, myself. Welcome back. After today's training, mastermind, whatever we call it, we'll have 3 weeks off. So that's going to be kind of cool. Let's have some time off. We got some good things in the works, Eric and I. We just had a good meeting about it all. But today's topic we have is how to leverage contractors to get business. So, and it's for both, right? For investors, how do we do that? And then also if you're an agent working with investors, how do we, leverage those relationships? So we'll get into that in a moment. Before that, of course, let's start with some wins. I see Andrew Call making an appearance from, I'm guessing, top of the mountain in Big Bear, or no?
Up in the hills. Yeah, up in the hills.
Nice. So Big Bear, if some of you are not obviously from California, Big Bear is in California. It's the closest mountain that we can go to and ski and snowboard from San Diego. So Andrew, a long time friend and investor, but what's a win? Give me a win. Professional, business. What do you got?
Business has been really good. The market has been supply and demand has been so tight that any project we put on the market just been flying off the shelf. So we've been really excited. Had a bunch of sales this year. We're starting to hold the ones we're holding about every other property we're buying and flipping now, and just financing it out and short-term rental. So it's been a really good transition year for us.
Nice.
And we're just playing the mountain.
And are you doing some remote rehabs in San Diego as you live in Big Bear, or just focusing on Big Bear now?
No, not Big Bear is not the market for us. All of our work is in San Diego. So I'm down there every couple of weeks to try and keep projects going. And all of our buys are in San Diego. We're scattered all over. So it's San Diego's been a great market for us. So hoping it is for everyone else as well.
I love it. All right, two clap. Mr. What do we got here? Who wants to share a win? Oh, Valley. Valley's always up for a win. She's always got a win. Valley, are you able to unmute yourself? Share a win with us? Oh, I don't think it's working. Your mic might not be working. We'll come back to Valley. Kevin Hamilton. Kevin.
What's up, Randy? Win. Let's see here. There's another local investor who I'm helping him with doing his books, and he's a buy and hold investor. He looks for houses where you can do a value add, so something that is zoned for, you can do multiple units, like put an ADU on it. So I'm going to start looking for stuff for him, because he's not working with any one specific agent. So I'm setting up a search for him on the MLS. And then just the other day, I was driving around my local neighborhood here in Encinitas and came across, right on the same street, within like 2 blocks of each other, 2 houses that are in pretty rough shape for the neighborhood, considering that they're surrounded by multi-million-dollar properties with ocean views. So I just sent an email to Tycor last night to ask for some information on those and see if I can get in touch with the owners and if they might be willing to sell.
Love it. So for some of you that don't know Kevin that well, like I do, what he means by books, he's an accountant by trade. So he does some bookkeeping for clients. He used to do all our bookkeeping for many years. And then also, when you said Tycor, that's a title company. So he reached out to our title company because they assist us. I think we talked about this at previous recording trainings, that your title company can be the best resource, right, to get information on who the owner is, maybe even phone numbers, emails. They're pretty good at it. They pay for all the skip tracing services, and it works very well. So good job, Kevin. Good stuff, man.
Thank you.
Cool. Anybody else want to share a win?
Hey, Randy, Nigel here. Not much of a win, but yeah, just got hold of 3 investors who are looking to get into buy and hold or multifamily. So been putting some offers, but it seems like nothing's going through. Just low inventory right now. Trying to source some off-market deals as well, but that's still in the works. So yeah, just keeping at it.
Nice. How did you meet the 3 investors?
Through Facebook groups and just social media. Some of my friends reaching out. So yeah, I do have some leads provided by my team, but just trying to get some other investors in as well.
Nice. Awesome, man. Good stuff. Valley, is your mic working?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, there you
No?
go.
Oh, yay. Okay, great. Well, this one's not investor related, but I'm excited about this win. So I have my first $1 million listing coming up in July, which is huge for here because our average price point across the board is 350,000. So
Wow,
I was excited about that. So anyway,
that is big.
yeah.
That's a big one. All right.
That's
Congrats.
awesome.
Yeah, we're kind of spoiled here in San Diego. That's like the average single family median price point. It's like luxury listings don't have the same meaning anymore,
Yeah.
in here. Cool. How about you, Eric? What do you got? We're gonna get into it.
Yeah. Just a couple closings this week, which is nice. And then we are officially down in Tampa. So the team they are officially running everything up in Ohio, and it's been good since we've been down here for about a week. They've got a couple under contract, and then working on getting them up and running, and then picked up a $500,000 listing for the team and stuff like that as well. So just trying to keep everything organized, and took a little bit of time to relax and unwind this past week.
Yeah, man. Yeah, Eric's business started in Cincinnati, so he's got a whole team there. And then now he just moved to Tampa and is about to grow a team over there. And I'm in San Diego County. So awesome. Yeah, a couple wins for me, I guess, would be I got a nice listing downtown that just hit the market. So that's a good one. And then got one that just closed, actually with a brand new agent who is an investor first, agent second, and a friend of his basically approached him about, hey, can you help us sell our property? But he has no idea what he's doing. So we partnered on in and we closed it. It's done. Closed yesterday. So he's got his first listing behind his belt. Andrew probably knows him. Kevin knows him.
Awesome.
Rick and Ricky. Yeah. So Ricky is the son. He got licensed. So that was cool. He got his first closing as a realtor. Awesome. Let's get into it, Eric. So I know you do a lot of this. I got some tips on it from my experience, but I'm going to kind of let you start off this topic. Oh, did we lose Eric? Eric froze. Okay. I think he did, right? Is it on my end or is it? No, you guys are good. Okay, cool. So we'll wait for Eric. So topic today is, like we said, mentioned earlier, is leveraging contractors to get business. So first and foremost, if you're an investor, like looking for contractors, like that doesn't never end, right? If you're someone that does multiple flips a year, you're constantly going to be looking for contractors, because what I found in my career of managing properties is that contractors get comfortable. Probably the best word I can use. They get comfortable if you start using them over and over again on your flips, if you're an investor here, and eventually they get too comfortable. And I find that you have to always keep them on their toes, right? So I think it's something that you basically have to do on a regular basis is keep always looking for new contractors for you to interview, so you can always pivot if you have to, and maybe throw them a job or two to start testing them out as you're still using the ones that you maybe still are doing well with for now. And you never know, they might end up being the best for a long time. But I found in my experience that usually when I give a contractor 3 jobs, that usually is their max. That what I found being kind of like the sweet spot. And the moment we go over that is when things start slowly falling apart and timelines start falling apart. However, when you ask, what I found when I asked the contractor, like, hey, do you have room for more work? They will never tell me no. They'll always say, yeah, of course. Yeah. Right. And to their own, detriment, right? They literally will say yes with good intention, of course, because they want to grow as well. But the truth is that a lot of contractors that become business owners and they have teams and they, oversee other subs or their own employees, they usually come from being the laborer themselves, and now they're put in the position of owning a business, and that's a little intimidating, right? They don't. It's not as easy as they might have imagined in terms of actually running a business and what it takes, right? So that's why I always caution everybody, like, don't get too comfortable with 1 or 2 contractors. Constantly keep looking for new ones and interview them and have a process for it. And once you start building that list of a few that you not only can you use, but also refer, then the business starts getting easier. Because I can tell you as an investor, the toughest part, honestly, it's not even as finding leads is tough, but honestly, I feel personally that managing contractors is even tougher. And I would love to hear from Andrew maybe as well. What's your take before we kind of let Eric speak a bit on it? But Andrew has rehabbed a lot of homes. What's your take on that, on what I just said?
It's funny. There's some merit to that. In this business, nothing's a problem until it becomes a problem, and then it's a huge problem. So, we've had some great runs, done 15, 20 renovations with a set of contractors, and all of a sudden it just goes way south. I've got a couple contractors that I'm on 10, 15 renovations with, and they're phenomenal. And the great part about the continuity is that you guys understand each other, you're on the same page, you know what you're each looking for. Works out well. But as Randy said, there is a lifespan to that. There's a half-life to a certain degree, and at some point they are no longer there, and you have to scramble. So again, to me, the contract part is not the hardest part until all of a sudden it is the hardest part because you're behind the 8 ball on something. So
Yeah.
It really depends. But you have to continually manage that relationship, continue to set those expectations and hold them accountable. And the longer you do that, the longer that relationship lasts, I found.
Yeah. And I'll tell you a quick funny story. When I was managing the rehab department in our company that I used to run and was partners with, I came and I was the agent too. So I was selling the properties and I was also managing, right? That's how you start. On the beginning, you wear like all the hats, right? So I went and to check on this rehab, it was supposed to be done, right? So I went to check, look at the staging, check everything out. Open house is scheduled for Sunday. All the marketing went out. And I go there with my agent hat, right? And I walk into this property and all the carpet is gone. So all the staging furniture is still there. Everything is still there, just moved around, but the carpet and the sponge, and it's just gone. I'm like, what the hell? Like, how does that happen? Like, who steals just the carpet? Like, that doesn't make any sense. So guess what? I called the GC and his name was Scott. I never forget his name, man. I'm like, Scott, dude, what happened? My carpet is gone, man. Like, what was going on? Because I figured like it has to be an inside job. Like there's no way that someone breaks into a house, leaves the appliances, leaves the furniture, but takes the carpet. Like, no, that's not normal. And then that's when Scott, the GC, was like, dude, oh man, oh, it's my sub. It's the sub. It's the floor guy. I forgot to pay him or something. I was like, what's his number? Give me his number, man. So I got the number, Ruben, never forget his name. I got Ruben's number and I just handled it myself. I called Ruben. I'm like, Ruben, man, I know what happened. I heard Scott didn't pay you. And dude, I'm so sorry, man. Like, I just need my carpet back. Like, what is it going to take? So I had to build a quick relationship and rapport with Ruben and not take offense to what Ruben did because it wasn't his fault. Scott, the GC, didn't pay him. And I said, look, I'll pay you, man. Like, just can you put my carpet back in? I have an open house on Sunday. We have a day. So he, sure enough, drove back. He was apologizing. He's like, Rick, he's like, Randy, I have to feed my family. Scott hasn't been paying me. I am so sorry. I didn't know how to reach you. Right. So I just did what I had to do. I was like, look, I get it, man. Just please put my carpet back in. So he did. He reinstalled the same carpet for the second time. I paid him and got, did the open house. But literally, that guy was our floor guy for years after that. The GC was fired, but that Ruben guy, he was our floor guy for so many flips. I think our guys are still using him to this day, right? And because I didn't take offense to it. And anyway, and he was a loyal family, good dude, so you just never know what will happen in managing construction. But Eric, I'm going to jump to you. We're still on the first slide. So I just kind of started off on how important it is to constantly keep looking for contractors because you never know.
Absolutely. Yeah. So when you move, you have issues with Wi-Fi. So I felt myself going out. I heard you like breaking up and I was like, oh no. So I'm on hotspot. Yeah. So contractors are like one of the most important things when it's going to come to, investing in real estate when you're doing flips. I think there is 100% a half-life on contractors. Me and Randy had talked about it. I've had contractors that I've used for 2 or 3 years. We've done 40 flips with, and then out of nowhere, they have another 2 or 3 projects and they go terrible. So it's one of those things that we always try to keep more coming in. There's nothing that can kill a deal worse than a really bad contractor, guaranteed. I've seen it. I've seen some really bad work done. So we are constantly always trying to look for it. But when it comes to the contractor, there's so much with that relationship that you can build off of, that you can use. One of the things that I did when I got started was partnered with a contractor and had him walk me through properties so that when I talked to other investors not associated with him, I'd have a good idea on what the rehab amount would look like, what he would recommend, like replacing, repairing, and a contractor is going to be worth their weight in gold. So you should constantly be looking for new contractors. I think starting them off small, maybe it's just a smaller project, starting them off small, giving them a shot, seeing how they do, comparing price, seeing what the timeline looks like, what the communication looks like. Make sure that when you are trying out those new contractors right away, that you're probably on the job site a little bit more than you'd like to be. Don't just hire somebody on to do a flip that you haven't worked with before and then just let them go at it. So yeah, constantly looking for contractors is going to be huge.
What I would do is, one thing I would say is, one of the first things I see that contractors are not good at is creating a detailed scope of work with pricing. So what I recommend is that you create the scope of work and you provide it to the contractor and have them bid that. Okay. And I would put in a Word doc so they can edit it even. So like, because I've seen that being a big resistance point for contractors when I ask them to itemize their bid. Like very few do that. They're not used to doing that. And you could just draw a line and say, fine, and I'm going to find someone that does. Or I think I would recommend maybe actually you creating the scope of work and have templates that you can plug and play, give it to the contractors. And we found that we actually got a lot more bids back the way we want them, because we would send, let's say, three contractors to one job and gave them the same exact scope of work. So they're bidding the same exact thing that we knew we wanted, right? So it comes back really clean, right? So you should do that as an investor. But then of course, if you're an agent working with investors, like this is the way you should be thinking and actually adding value to the investors you work with and bring up these type of ideas, right? Because they can sometimes ruin their own experience. Like the investors themselves are not, a lot of them, they don't have systems in place. These are the things that you as an agent can actually think outside the box and bring a value to the table of how can they bring systems in place? How can they work better with their own contractors? And maybe even you are the one meeting these contractors, which is part of the things of this discussion is, as an agent, it will help you tremendously if you have your own book of contractors you can rely on that you can refer to your investor clients, right? Because again, if you're that source of information and referral, that investor is going to remember that. It's like, oh, wow, Eric referred me this contractor and he was a freaking all-star. Not only did Eric find me the investor flip to do the flip on, and he connected me to this freaking bomb contractor. Like, they will never stop working with Eric, right? And you've had that happen, right, Eric? Several times.
Yeah, actually, just recently I had a good buddy of mine. He plays for the MLS soccer team up in Cincinnati. So he plays for the professional soccer team, just moved from Utah. He was actually traded there. And I've been working with him for 6 months, and he sends me this flip and he's like, hey, do you mind walking this with me? I've got some design questions. So I just asked, I said, hey, do you have somebody kind of in mind to list the property with? If not, would love to be that option, but would absolutely love to go to the property. So doing our normal walkthrough, walking the property with him, kind of going through like what to do, paint, flooring wise, layout wise, and stuff like that. I go to the basement. Cincinnati, we have some older builds. So I'm like, dude, this house is knob and tube wiring. And he's like, wait, what do you mean knob and tube? I'm like, this is literally knob and tube. We traced it all the way through the house, traced it back to the control panel. So active knob and tube throughout the whole home. And I'm like, you got this, like, this is a part of your bid with your GC, right? And he's like, no, he didn't mention anything about the electrical. And I'm like, there's no way he should have missed knob and tube. So I was like, you know what, just have Adam, who's my rock star GC right now. I was like, have Adam come walk it, get a bid for it, and we'll see what's going on. So Adam is a guy that I've had, we've done a couple flips together. And actually one of his flips that he did for us was on HGTV's House Hunters. So, and we were the listing agent on the property. So sent Adam to him. Investor is super ecstatic. Adam went in and walked through what layouts they could do, what design choices to go with, super familiar with the area, what sells and what doesn't sell. So he's kind of like a super unique GC. Like, he does everything, design and all, and he's absolutely amazing. So I give his name and number out to everyone, try to keep him as busy as possible. But also he makes me look really good because he's going out to this investor, and absolutely just like, the bid came in perfect. It was, an itemized bill. It was completely written out. There was a signature to keep everybody, on par with that. So it looked really good on me. And then, the investor texts me and he goes, hey, when we go to list, we'd love to have you list it. Adam's been awesome. Thank you so much for sending them our way. So it's huge. It's a big part of our business. And when you have that person, it's just another person that you can kind of leverage. And for me, I love being able to help Adam and keep his business growing and going.
Yeah, that client is never gonna like not use you. It's like,
yeah,
for that reason.
Yeah.
So when it comes to, finishing the vetting contractors part, it should be obvious, but some investors don't do this, and that is such a bad thing. But ask for their work, like, go visit their job sites, right?
Yep.
If they don't have any active projects currently, I don't necessarily think it's a red flag. That's okay. Then ask for previous ones that they worked on, and then ask for the people that hired them, and have a genuine conversation with the people that hired that contractor, right? Like, it's a lot of work to do on the front end, but I can tell you, if you do it correctly, it's going to save you a lot of headaches down the road, right? If you hire the wrong one, man, it can be a total shit show, right? You can lose a lot of money with contractors. So, but there's ways to do it correctly, like we're discussing, and protecting yourself, which we'll get into in a moment. So how about just building the whole building relationships? How do you now, let's say you found a contractor, Eric, or a couple that you really like, and you vetted them, you've checked their work, they have great referrals, everything checks out. How do you maintain or build on that relationship? What else do you end up doing?
Yeah, I would say, like, one of the things you actually just talked about a few minutes ago was huge, which is communication is key. These these contractors, they love good communication. So something that tends to happen is, you take a contractor through a property, they bid out the job for you, and then the investor gets upset because something isn't completed. The contractor didn't know, didn't want it, or wanted it completed. So you have this point of contention. So communication, you can never over communicate with somebody. Spell it out, make sure everybody's on board. We also always go out of our way, like with our contractors, just to go out to the project, build that rapport, see how they're doing, see how the project's doing. Contractors are typically just like agents. They have egos, so they like to hear that the job looks good. You can't be afraid to be like, hey, you know, that tile's crooked or not set correctly or something like that. But at the same time, if it is a really good job, go out there and just be like, you know, throw compliments their way. They love that. Something else that I know some of my investors do is if the job is on time and a good, like the flip goes really well and it looks great, is they pay the contractor a bonus. You're rewarding good behavior. So kind of talking about the half-life of contractors, it's not uncommon that contractors after a while, you know, they do 10, 15 flips with you and they start to get kind of bored. It's just go in, lay floor, paint. They know they're getting paid. Maybe they find somebody else who pays more, so they focus their attention that way. A great way to kind of keep them around and keep them motivated is say, hey, you know what, this project turned out amazing. Here's an extra $1,000 on top of what we said we're going to pay you, kind of a bonus. We really appreciate the time and the effort you put into it. As agents, we kind of like getting rewarded for a good job. As investors, we like being rewarded for doing a great flip or for finding a good deal. For contractors, they should be rewarded for if they go above and beyond and they do a really good flip. It's a great way to keep them happy, satisfied, and just, you know, to them, it kind of builds loyalty. So it's a great way to kind of do that as well.
Yeah, one thing that I actually forgot to mention, but it's so important on the vetting part too, is you need to ask the contractor if they are, you know, what kind of paperwork do they have that they usually sign with clients. And you'd be surprised, man, what comes back when you ask that question, right? Many won't have much, right? It will just be the bid and then everyone just signs the bid and that's it, right? Man, so Andrew knows this, Kevin knows this, right? Because we've been through the same program, right? With our education company. And we have our 6 critical documents. And I can't stress enough how important it is. And let me tell you what those are. And if you want, I can even share them with you. But every contractor is gonna have to sign an independent contract agreement. We're gonna have a payment schedule created together, right? So we know which benchmarks we're gonna go after and when is the payment gonna be made after which benchmarks that were hit, right? We're gonna have, of course, a scope of work. That's the beginning of it all. We're gonna have a W-9 signed, right? And then we're gonna have a indemnification insurance agreement. We got to make sure that they have insurance, and then we have an agreement form for that. And then when the job is fully done, then we have the contractor sign a final lien waiver. Okay, so these are so important to have, and I can tell you most investors don't use any documents outside of what the contractor offers, and they feel like that's just the way it should be because they're the contractors, so they must know better what paperwork. Don't think that way. You should have your own documents, review what, you know, the ones that you feel protect you and protect the contractor, right? It can't just be one-sided, but we have 6 critical documents. I'm going to actually put a link to my Dropbox folder if you guys would like, and you guys can download them. But if they're not okay with signing these type of documents, then that's a red flag to me, to be honest, right? It's saved us and protected us from many disasters, these documents that I'll share with you. Andrew, and you use them still, I hope? Some of them, I hope?
Yes, I do, and no, I don't. With new contractors, again, it's setting the standard. These things are worth their weight in gold. I mean, again, for those who haven't seen the types of documents that are laid out, it basically just sets the standard for how you want to have things work. And I use it with every new contractor for sure. I will, though, admit after about 10 or so projects you do, I mean, like, all right, just go ahead and send me that. Yeah, that's fine. Go ahead and do that. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Get a little lazy, which I know I shouldn't go that route, but it gets easier as you go once you have that synergy. But yeah, at the onset, by all means, got to use the documents. And even if you decide you want to modify those and for whatever works for you or for the contractor, which is fine, know why you're modifying them. But again, it just sets the standard for what you expect of them going forward. And that eliminates all those problems that you guys say you run into with contractors, like communications Eric was discussing. You lay it out there, you know you're addressing those things. It doesn't get fallen by the wayside. So I agree.
Yeah. It seems like when you set expectations, you're laying it out for every party in the entire transaction. You're saying this is how it's going to go. So when it all goes that way, everybody's super happy. If you don't set those expectations up front, something backfires, and either as the investor or the contractor, you're like, well, what the hell do we do? So setting those expectations up front is, I mean, it just takes out 90% of the pain you're going to feel.
So I just shared the link as a gift to you guys. Those are the documents that we've used on probably 600 flips or more. I've lost count. Maybe probably even more. So they're in the chat if you want to click on that and download them. But that's what we've been using for over a decade. And I would say on building relationships, kind of jumping back to that now, is it works both ways, right? So you need to also pay on time. I don't know if you mentioned this already, Eric, but you know,
Yeah.
you got to do your part as well, right? So you can't expect all of this stuff from the contractor, but then you slack on payment and be like, oh, I can't give you a check on Friday, even if you hit your benchmark. Oh, let's meet Monday. Like, no. If you agreed and they hit that benchmark on Friday, make sure you pay them, man. Like that is a lifeline to them. Like literally, like, because they have employees usually waiting, man, for that check that Friday, right? So they can pay their bills and feed their families and do whatever they got to do. So there's a compound effect that takes place if you think that moving, you know, the payment from Friday to Monday has no impact. You're wrong. It can really make or break that relationship long term. And that contractor might say, yeah, okay, that's fine the first time, but you don't know what that is actually, what damage that's actually doing, right, behind the scenes. And they're just afraid to tell you because they want to keep you as a client. So I can't stress that enough.
On that note, Randy, real quickly, on that note, I agree completely that we've gone to the other end of the route where most GCs will pay their subs on Friday. They can't always run out and go to the bank and do that thing. We've gotten to the point now we're paying our contractors on Thursday, and that was our initiative to do that, and they love it because now they can get that whole process done. Pay their guys on Friday, which apparently is the payday for all subs in the world. And they really appreciate that fact. They really do.
Yeah.
So just by going that extra step to accommodate them, because it's a two-way street. We want to work for each other. We want to make each other both successful. It works. So
that's so good. Yeah, that's a good tip. Even that extra day, of course. And again, if they hit the benchmarks, right? Because that is the biggest problem for contractors is cash flow. Like figuring out how to run their business, and cash flow is a big challenge for them. So go ahead, Eric, keep going, buddy.
Yeah. So, and I'd say also too, just something that I've seen investors do is, you know, be respectful and patient with contractors. Like if you're trying to build up that relationship, if you're trying to make it so that you can continue to use this person, we're all human. If they've got a lot going on, you know, they're juggling just as much stuff as we are. I know as an agent, I definitely hit times where I'm beyond stress. I've got like 50 different things I'm doing. I'm texting this person, calling this person, emailing this person, and everybody always has a little bit of leeway. Should be the same for a contractor. You know, if it starts to become a problem or it's consistent, you have that communication to say, hey, this is starting to become more noticeable. But if it's like one time and they've done 10 projects for you, don't just immediately jump on them and be like, hey, we need this done like ASAP. Like we're all humans. We've all got a lot going on. So I've noticed like a lot of our contractors really appreciate that. Like if they call us and they're like, hey, we're running into some stuff this week. We're going to be just slightly behind. We apologize. I know 99% of the time they're on time, and it's, hey, completely understand, man. Let's just keep at it.
And here's another way too, like, you know, going on to helping each other then, right? Because it, like Andrew said, it's a team effort, right? And you got to treat it that way. No one is above nobody here. So, you know, building the relationship is also helping one another grow, right? In business, as a person, in systems, whatever, right? In all those areas. One of the things that we did for, you know, we continue to do is like that Ruben guy, right? The story I shared, that floor guy that took my carpet out and then reinstalled it, who we then ended up doing a ton of business with. Later, we started referring him to our GCs because what sometimes happens, you'll get a bid from a GC. If you're hiring a GC and they get all the subs, that's one way of doing it. Sometimes you could be the GC and you find the subs, right? But in the case where you have a GC and they get their own subs to bid, when we would see a bid and the flooring, let's say it's way higher than what we're used to, as an example, I would say, hey, GC, like I have a great floor guy that we use, right, on small jobs where we don't need you. How about we get him to give you the bid and let me connect you to? So now I'm connecting the GC to my floor guy that I've done some work with that I know has good pricing. And all of a sudden my bid from the GC goes down because he's getting a better price from my floor guy, right? And this is why it's important that everything is itemized, because I need transparency, man, like with the DC, right? And if we know, I know you need to make money. Like, I'm not like, period. Like, I need you to make money, feed your family. And at the same time, if I can help you save money, then that will save me money as well in the long run, right? And you can maintain your profit margin. If it's 15% of managing the subs, great. But let's lower that bid, right? So that's something to think about. And then another huge thing that I've seen over the years, is connecting some of my investor clients with contractors that I know, right? But also I have had contractors that have done flips for investors, right? Where they do the rehab. And some of them are like, man, Randy, like I wouldn't mind doing those flips myself. Like for me, like, how do I get into this? So you can turn a contractor, friend, or relationship into an actual client as an agent, right? Where now you're helping them find investor opportunities. Or if you have investor clients and you know them well, which you should as a client, what their struggles are, some of them will say, it's like, oh, Randy, like, I can't find good contractors. The last one I had just completely went, off the rails. It took 4 months. It was supposed to be 2, whatever. Well, now you can connect and recommend maybe a joint venture between the two. So now you have an investor that you know and work with, and now you have a contractor that is now interested in maybe getting into the business. You can connect those two and say, look, you guys might be a good match for each other, because if you and Mr. Investor are good on finding opportunities and you contractor do good work, which I know you do, now there's an opportunity for you guys to have a conversation about a joint venture potentially, where you will basically share the profit 50-50, as long as everyone's got their responsibilities laid out, right? Correctly. You guys both sign a joint venture agreement. Again, paperwork, protect yourself. But then the contractor does his work at cost, right? You as the investor, you do your work at cost, right? And if you're the investor agent and you're the one selling the property, you do that at cost, very minimal. So then at that point, everybody is trying to basically reach the same goal, which is how to maximize profit, right? So that's something that I've seen happen over the years, where literally a contractor who's got an amazing skill set and does really good work becomes a partner with the investor and gets in the game. And sometimes they just keep going that way for a long time, and they never venture on their own ever again, because they can handle multiple projects. The investor partner doesn't have to worry about managing construction jobs anymore, because he's got a business partner who is a contractor. And that could be a beautiful, like, long-term partnership if done correctly. So that's just an idea I want to kind of put out there, plant that seed. Any thoughts on that, and any other things on just helping each other, right?
Yeah, and I mean, if you want to know that a contractor is not going to do a bad job or overcharge you on something when you're JVing, I mean, obviously know the numbers, but when you're both trying to increase that profit margin as high as you can, it's there's incentive for both parties to do the best they can. One of the things that I love doing with my GCs, especially the GCs I've built a really good relationship with, is when I send them, or when we're walking properties together or something like that, I always ask what else they have going on, what other projects they're working on. One, again, they love to talk about what they've got going on. And I truly care to hear what they've got. But if they've got, hey, I'm working on this house in this part of town, this investor purchased it, I always do bring up the fact, like, hey, do you know if they have an agent that they tend to use? Do you know if they have an agent that they're planning on listing that property with? And if they say, like, not that I'm aware, I'm always just like, do you want to see if, you can put my name out there? Do you want to see if they would like us to interview for the listing? And I've gotten a few that way. It's been great because now this contractor that's doing the work and I know that they do good work is recommending, like, hey, don't know if you have anybody to list the property, but we've always used Eric Gross or we've used him a lot. He's great. If you want that contact, we'd love to get you get a meeting going. And that's been great for us. We've been able to get listings off that. Our contractors have been able to help us. And then I turn around for that contractor and send them to my agents, or I send them to my team, or I send them to my investors and I say, hey, this is my contractor. So it goes both ways. Like, we're constantly just passing each other's information off. We're both helping each other grow each other's businesses. And it's just a great way to kind of add to your business as an agent for sure. Something else we do that I don't know if a lot of agents do or not, we do a lot of shout outs for our contractors on social media. Don't think a lot of people have done this. I've actually set up social media accounts for some of my contractors who were not social media savvy. So we took the time and built out a social media page for them and then shouted them out. So if you want to talk about like building a relationship with somebody, they love those after the fact. I'm like, hey, you're marketing. What do you do for social media? They're like, we just don't have time to build that out. I said, awesome. Do you mind if we just take a little bit of time? We'll build you a Facebook business page. We'll make you the admin and everything like that. And then they were able to start getting reviews on there. They were able to start sharing it. They were able to start growing. And now they share our name to everybody they work with.
Talking about, creating reciprocity type arrangement. I mean, that's, that's great, man, because that's true. Like, it will come back. If you do things like this and it comes easy to you, then why not, right? With the right people, right? You're not going to do that for everybody you meet, like every contractor.
Yeah.
The right people, you can spend a little extra time to, but to you, it's nothing. To them, they would sit there for hours trying to figure it out, right?
And we love doing it. Like, we love seeing that part grow. And I mean, it's literally to the point with like a lot of our contractors up in Cincinnati, like our son will go with us to showings or to walk properties, and they all know Daniel. They all ask him how he's doing. And Daniel gets like super excited when we go to look at a property that needs work. If we had to show a client a house that's completely fixed up, $600,000 house, he's upset. If I tell him we're going to look at a house that almost burned down, he's like beyond excited and like overjoyed because he gets to see our contractors and he loves them. So
yeah, and just a word of caution with all of this, right? Because you might get to the point like what we're talking about with Andrew and Eric and myself, well, you really like the contractor, you've had really a good run with them, and then you keep referring them. And then they could, go off the wagon, right? So I would just always caution every time I would refer, I'm like, look, I'm having a good experience, or I've had a good experience, or my clients have had a good experience, whatever the case might be. But just say, look, you got to, do your own vetting. You got to do your own research. You got to do your own vetting. I would interview 2 or 3, get multiple bids. Don't just go with this one referral that I'm about to give you, even though I've had a good experience or I've heard good things about him. Like, so I would always set that premise, because if you don't and something goes wrong, the first thing they're going to do is blame you, right? They're going to call you and be like, Randy, you referred me this contractor and he absolutely sucked and blah, blah, blah. And you're like, oh man, like, so it's a very, I do it with caution when I refer, and I make sure when I do, of course, I say all that, because I would rather receive a phone call from that client saying, Randy, man, I know you cautioned me, and I vetted your guy and 2 other people, and I still liked your guy, but man, he just absolutely sucked, and I need to tell you this, don't refer him again. I'd rather get that phone call than them blaming me that it's my fault, right? And I can tell you, if I don't say that prior to making that referral, it could essentially ruin my relationship also with my client as well. So not only do I not have a contractor that I will refer anymore, but I also probably lost my client, right? And it's literally could be.
Yeah, and
Go ahead.
oh, go ahead.
No, I just said it
My
could be
bad.
avoided by just setting the right expectation right from the beginning, you know?
Yeah. And I set that expectation with the client, and I also let the contractor know that this is one of my clients. So if I have a good relationship with that contractor, I let him know, like, hey, make sure you take care of Mr. Smith. Like, make sure that, you go above and beyond. And that's helped too. So far, fingers crossed, have not had any of my contractors go out and drop the ball. But I do caution it with that. And then I follow up with the client. And I always just like, once I know the work's done, because I've talked to the contractor or the client just posted on Facebook or something, I follow up with the client. How was it? Did it meet your expectations? Because it also keeps me top of mind with that client. It's another point of contact for me where they're like, hey, he was actually awesome. Thanks so much for following up. We appreciate the recommendation and you checking in.
Yeah, and then what I would add to as we come to kind of the end of the discussion, I want to open up for questions. But what I would say too is, as an agent, right? Because I operate in both arenas, right? Now more on the agent side and my whole team. So like this client that I got the listing downtown, we sold one of his properties in a 55 and over community in Oceanside a couple of months ago. And, his brother used to live there and the brother moved out and it was just kind of crappy and outdated, So we recommended that we bring in someone and change the carpets and paint, do some cleanup, right? Touch up some stuff in the bathroom. That went a long way for us to get that relationship and that listing because we knew who we're going to reach out to. We have a couple good kind of handyman type contractors that will do like these small little jobs, right? And boom, this contractor / handyman went there in 2 days, turned his job around at a really good price. And, we listed that property and our client was, the client paid for it, not me as a realtor, but it was a good price. And the property looked so much better before and after. And then we listed it. And because of that experience, we then got a $1 million listing downtown, which is the property where he lives and he's moving to Florida, right? So like, you can absolutely tap into those relationships, not only with investors, but also with retail clients, because many sellers have properties that are outdated. And because you're an agent that works with investors, knows contractors, can quickly go and show your value, why you're different than most of the other realtors and say, look, I work with a lot of investors and one of the things that I can do is I can come and see, where you might want to be putting in your money potentially. I'm not saying you have to do it, but there might be an opportunity once I see a property that I can recommend a few things that you might want to address at a really good price. This is not retail pricing. The people that I know will do it at a very good price. And then we can net you more money when we list the property. Is that something that might interest you? And who would say no if they know they have an outdated property that they're about to list with someone? And I'm hoping it's me, that they pick me, right? So it's a way for me to stand out from all the realtors that they're interviewing that might not have those relationships. So they don't even go in that direction. They don't even open up that conversation. They're just talking about how great they are and how they're going to sell their property as is for the best amount of money, blah, 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 blah. Where here I am telling them, hey, how about we fix this, this, and this, and here, call my guy. Like, who's going to win, you think? Like, it's going to be you, right? If you're that agent with those contacts. So, Eric, have you done that? I'm guessing too, right?
Yeah.
Sellers?
Yeah, and then it also helps, like if you work with investors, you can let them know, like, hey, I can give you a rough idea of what it's going to cost to do fix-ups. But yeah, we actually in our listing presentation, we have an entire 3 slides dedicated to just contractors. We have GCs, subcontractors, flooring, and everything like that. So it's in our listing presentation. We let them know, hey, at any point, if you need one of these, items, if we're not asking for them to make any repairs, we just say, you can go back and look at this.
Have those contractors that you have relationships with, would some of them even wait to get paid at closing? Because I've heard that some agents, are able to even pull that off. I haven't done that. But
Yes. So what you do is typically we'll write up an agreement in between the contractor and the client, and it's just delayed. It's just coming out of the proceeds at closing. There's actually some companies that do it as well now, but they provide their own contractors, so that's why we don't use them. I think like Curbio is one of them, where they'll do the work up front at the cost, and that comes out of seller proceeds at the back end. But we definitely have with our contractors like agreements where, you know, if we have a seller that doesn't have the money to make the repair or do the update, we just get an agreement in place, let the contractor know, hey, as soon as we get this closed in 30, 45 days, you'll get the money from it.
yeah, that's another way of really standing out, right? And with those clients that you're looking to get the listing from. So yeah, so I think, I don't know, do you have anything else to add on this topic before we kind of open up for questions? Because I think, you know, we usually do breakouts, but when we have smaller rooms, I think I'd rather just have a little powwow with everybody, to be honest. So did you say everything you wanted to say on this topic, Eric?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Randy,
Yeah.
I've got a couple of just to kind of add into what was going. As you know, a big part of our business, or a chunk of our business, is actually doing renovations for sellers, like Renovation Realty, a lot of those kind of companies. So you were talking about leveraging the contractors. I'm kind of reluctant to actually refer my contractors because, as Eric had said, you know, you do assume, sorry, I think you mentioned, you assume some liability if things don't go great. But what I've done in the past is, if it's a small sum that needs to be done, I've actually hired my contractors to help out an agent with a minor thing on a property. And it doesn't seem like much to us, or to a contractor. It could be a couple hours worth of work, but it builds a lot as far as that connection, that relationship with the agents, because again, the agents are the ones that bring us all of our business. So it shows what we can do to help them with their listings. And because of those things, we've actually got referrals from those agents to do entire renovations for their clients' listings going forward. So again, leveraging your contractors to build that business going forward, it's a small expense for a big opportunity at the back end.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Yeah, and to add to that, actually, like those retail clients, right? If they're bigger jobs, like if it's a handyman job like we just did, then I'm not gonna go into the the 6 critical documents with my client, right? But if it's a bigger job, then I will not only tell them about their contractor and, you know, premise the cautionary script, right? That, hey, vet them, you know, interview others, blah, blah, blah. But I would even give them the 6 critical documents. I say, look, I recommend that you use these, right? Now it's up to you if you choose to do so, right? So again, like Andrew said, like there is a lot of liability potentially. However, again, if I tell them, and I even say it in an email and I have it, you know, documented, like, look, here's the referral, here's who you should contact. Again, put my script in that email and give them the 6 critical documents. I feel like I kind of covered myself in that sense and be like, look, but again, it's a value add, because not what age, like how many agents can you think of that will actually provide 6 critical documents to their regular traditional seller? Like no one does that. Like, you know, I mean,
And it also helps because we have agents all the time that reach out to us for contractors, and we send it. And then when they get off market deals, we're the ones that get sent the off market deals, because we become like synonymous with like the houses that need rehab. So I get agents all the time who are like, I really need a contractor for this or that. And it also helps that Katie's uncle my wife's uncle is a roofing contractor. So anytime somebody needs a roofing contractor, I'm like, Uncle John's got you. And I'm like, if he messes up, then we're going to have some issues. But he's been nonstop great. Those agents always send me properties. Like we have one we're looking at next week because the agent called me and she's like, do you want this flip? You know, we're selling it for 210, ARV's like 370, needs about 40 in work. I'm like, yeah, why not? So
yeah, that's beautiful, man. When you get to that point where agents just come to you, which is what we all want, right? As investors, like that's a beautiful place to be. So let's open it up. Any other comments or questions or thoughts on this topic? Maybe you guys are doing something that we haven't even mentioned here with contractors. Anybody?
Hey, Randy, this is Peter Scango. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hey, I just wanted to say I appreciate the information. I've gotten some good thoughts here from the last hour, and I'm an investor first and agent. Actually got my license after doing investing for a number of years. I'm dual career, so I'm low volume, but trying to ramp it up. And some of the contractors that I've worked with, I've kept good relationships with over the years. And it's funny, some of the stories you guys said, the way I've met a couple of mine fall in that category. And it's funny to hear other people have the same sort of stories. I had one where I was mowing the lawn at my first rental property when I was younger, and I ran over a beehive, and the neighbor came over to help get rid of the beehive and me. And he's turned out to be a guy I call on all the time because we have a handful of properties in a certain area, and if I have deals, he's the first guy I text, kind of a friend contractor situation. So you never know where they're going to come from.
Yeah. And where are you, Peter?
I'm out in Fairfax, Virginia, outside of DC. I guess everybody on the calls from San Diego or out there.
No, from all over. This is national
Okay.
mastermind.
Okay.
So yeah, it's just,
Yeah.
I know a lot of people in San Diego, obviously, because I live
got you.
here. But yeah, Eric is Cincinnati, now Tampa, and then I don't know where everybody else is, but it's from all over.
Right.
Good share,
Guys,
man. Thanks, Peter. I appreciate the comment as well,
thank
man.
you. Appreciate you guys.
Yeah. Anybody else?
Yeah, just Eric, that last point that you just shared about referring your contractors to other agents, and then eventually they might bring you fixers that haven't hit the market yet as potential flips. That's a really good strategy.
Yeah. And most agents do not have these relationships that we're talking about. So if you just let them know, like, hey, by the way, if you ever need some referrals, like, let me know. Like, I got some good ones, but educate them though on how to refer them, again, with that cautionary script,
Yeah.
right? Like, make sure they don't skip that step, man. Good stuff. Any final thoughts? We got a minute left and we'll wrap it up. Valley?
I do have somebody. I was going to say, I do have somebody I know that's an agent, investor, and a contractor. So they merged all three, and he's got the life because he bids he bids the properties. If he's not doing the investment himself, contracts them out, and then it's just he does everything. I'm like, man, one-stop shop.
Nice. Yeah. Awesome. Valley, you got any final thoughts?
No, I would just be repeating some of what you all said. So I have several contractors and I do refer them out, and I do, in fact, one of the fix and flips was for one of my investors to, connection where other contractors. So yeah, I do stuff for them. They do stuff for me. So it's great. And they have referred me to other contractors in the business, right? So I've been able to grow my connections in the different trades too. So because the good ones here stay really busy. So that's the other reason to have
Yep.
multiple ones, is just that sometimes when you need one and they're really good, they can't get to you because they're so backed up. So just being able to develop that group of contractors that you can rely on.
Yeah. And I think that's
Absolutely.
where little things like what Eric, like if you mentioned, like, imagine you help build them out a social media page. Like, when they're busy, do you think they're gonna drop everything and be there for Eric, even though they might have 4 other jobs? Like, there's a high probability that they will, because of that. So you never know. Like, look for ways to help one another, I think. And sounds like Valley, you're doing a great job with that too. So, and Valley is from New Mexico, right? Okay.
Nice.
Awesome.
correct.
Good stuff. So good shares, and we will be back on the first week of July. So we'll see you guys then, and enjoy the rest of June.
I was gonna say too, I sent it to you, Randy, and to you, Eric. I don't know if you've seen those new posts about the investor-centric trainings that Revenos is putting out now too, that is kind of in line with their iBuyer, which we need more iBuyers in New Mexico. So if y'all know of people who are like in that category and want to invest here, great state to invest in. We need
Yep.
more.
I think EXP has an iBuyer program, don't they, Randy?
Yeah, that's
They
what
do.
I'm saying, but we only have
Oh, the express
one,
offers.
we only have, we only have one large institutional buyer, like, so I'm talking all the time, trying to find them, but yeah, if you all
Yeah,
know folks,
the company that I used to was a partner with City Homes, they are one of the approved iBuyers for EXP here in San Diego.
yes,
Yeah, because I know they're like, they send it out to like a bunch of, like,
Yep.
I think it's just depending on what it's at and they bid.
But you need to also, that's a good tip. If you know some of you here are with EXP like us, that's another value add. Like if you meet good well, no, this would be, yeah, for you agents that are working with investors that do decent volume, refer them to EXP's iBuyer program so they can sign up and see if they could get approved to be the iBuyer they refer. Again, that's talking about, again, reciprocity, right? And building a relationship forever with an investor as an agent, right? Like it's game over, right? When you do these type of things, right? So like our company that I used to run, like I said, they're an approved iBuyer, but that doesn't mean that they always need more. Same thing, right? They always need more real good cash buyers nationwide. And I will say, yes, Valley, I did see that, the announcement about that. And I'm actually going to attend, I think, next Wednesday, just to learn more about it. So that's exciting that they're getting into that space.
yes, yes, I agree. So, and also you didn't say that, but for the others too, I mean, if they refer them into the iBuyer program, that is passive income for them, because as the agent who brings that iBuyer to the program, they will get a piece of every deal that if that if that iBuyer purchases. So that is another income generator as well.
That's
for
right.
folks.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Awesome. Good stuff, guys. So thank you again. See you in a few weeks. Enjoy. Bye-bye.
Have a good night.
Thank
See you guys.
Thank you.
Bye.